Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. Rumors are swirling around Detroit, and the air is getting thicker by the day. Jared Goff, the quarterback who helped reshape the Lions into a real contender, might be on his way out when the season ends. Yeah, you heard that right. Goff could be packing his bags, leaving behind a fan base that finally started to believe again. Sources close to the situation are whispering that tension has been building behind closed doors, not just about contracts, but about the future vision of this team. The Lions have been one of the most improved squads in the NFC, and Goff has been a massive part of that. But as the team looks to sustain success long-term, there's growing talk that Detroit's front office wants to reset the financial side of things, and Goff's upcoming contract demands might be the breaking point. He's been solid, efficient, and composed, but in a league obsessed with the next big thing, the Lions may already be scouting his potential replacement. The question is, would they really let go of the quarterback who brought them stability after years of chaos? Or is this just smoke before a bigger fire ignites in Motor City? Behind the scenes, things might be a little more complicated than they appear on game day. Goff's relationship with the coaching staff is said to be professional but distant, according to insiders familiar with the Lions' locker room vibe. Head coach Dan Campbell loves Goff's leadership, but there have been quiet doubts about whether Goff is the guy to take Detroit all the way. Remember, this is the same organization that has been haunted by playoff droughts and broken rebuilds for decades. Now, they're finally close to something special, and that's when the tough decisions start. Goff's camp reportedly believes he deserves a deal that reflects his turnaround impact, possibly putting him among the league's top-paid quarterbacks. But Detroit's front office is hesitant, not because they don't value him, but because they're thinking long-term flexibility, future roster moves, and how to sustain success beyond one hot season. That's where the friction lies: loyalty versus logic, emotion versus economics. It's the classic NFL crossroads where both sides claim they want to win, but they just might have different ideas about what winning really means. From a fan's perspective, it feels almost impossible to imagine the Lions without Jared Goff right now. He's been the steady hand guiding this team through emotional highs and painful lows, and he's earned the respect of his teammates through consistency and humility. But this league doesn't care about sentiment. It's a business, and when money talks, history walks. The rumor mill has been relentless lately, suggesting that Goff's agent is already exploring scenarios in case negotiations with the Lions hit a wall. Some whispers even link him to franchises that could be one quarterback away from playoff contention, like the Raiders or the Falcons. The timing makes sense too. Goff is entering a phase of his career where he'll want both security and a system that trusts him completely. The Lions, meanwhile, are in that awkward stage of success where every decision feels risky. Lose him, and they could tumble back into instability. Keep him at a high price, and they risk handcuffing future moves. Either way, this offseason might redefine not just Goff's legacy, but the entire trajectory of Detroit football. Insiders around the NFL are starting to take this situation seriously because there's precedent for it. We've seen it before. Teams build around a quarterback, find some success, then suddenly decide to go younger or cheaper. Remember what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco or Derek Carr in Las Vegas. Goff's story could follow a similar pattern. It's not that he's underperforming. In fact, his numbers are solid, but teams these days chase ceilings, not just stability. The Lions drafted some key offensive weapons over the last few years, and there's growing confidence they might be able to plug in a rookie or a more mobile QB without a massive drop-off. That's the NFL mindset in 2025. Always look for the next evolution. Goff, for all his experience and composure, might simply not fit the long-term template Detroit envisions. And if the front office believes they've already gotten the best version of him, that could spell the end of the Goff era. What happens next could depend on how deep the Lions go this postseason. Success could either save his spot or seal his exit. The emotional angle here can't be ignored. Goff's journey to Detroit was one of redemption. After being traded by the Rams, many wrote him off as a placeholder, a quarterback destined to fade into obscurity while rebuilding teams did the dirty work. Instead, he flipped the narrative. He helped Dan Campbell transform the Lions from a punchline into a legitimate threat. That's not something you can just replace overnight. Detroit fans rallied behind him because he represented resilience, a guy who took hits, kept calm, and made believers out of doubters. So, if he really does leave at the end of this season, it won't just be a business move. It'll sting on a personal level. Players like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell have publicly praised Goff's leadership, and losing that stability could shift locker room chemistry. You can rebuild rosters, but rebuilding trust and belief takes years. That's the intangible cost of this rumor, and it's what makes it so explosive among Lions fans right now. If this story gains more traction, the Lions front office will face intense public pressure. Detroit is a city that values grit, loyalty, and underdog stories. All qualities that define Jared Goff's arc. Fans have watched him put this franchise back on the map, and now they're faced with the possibility of another painful reboot. The irony is thick. Just when the Lions stopped being the league's punchline, they might lose the guy who helped make that happen. But maybe that's exactly why the rumor feels so real, because success brings new expectations, and expectations bring hard decisions. There's also a sense that Goff himself might be preparing emotionally for whatever comes next. He's handled questions about his contract with calm professionalism, but insiders claim his inner circle is already weighing options quietly. No matter how it plays out, one thing is clear: this isn't just about football anymore. It's about identity, legacy, and what the Detroit Lions want to stand for as they move into their next chapter. As the weeks go by, the whispers are only getting louder. Some insiders claim that Jared Goff's camp has already started soft testing the market, reaching out to trusted figures in the league to gauge potential interest if things go south with Detroit. This isn't unusual. It's the quiet dance that happens every offseason behind closed doors. But this time, it feels different. Goff isn't a struggling quarterback looking for a backup gig. He's a proven starter, a steady hand who's guided a franchise out of the mud. That kind of player doesn't become available often, and you better believe there are front offices around the league watching closely. The Lions, for all their recent success, might be facing a brutal reality check. How do you replace the leadership and calm that Goff brings? Draft picks and cap space don't always fill that void. Yet, Detroit's front office has been methodical. They've built through the trenches, developed young talent, and stuck to their blueprint. Maybe they believe they can find lightning in a bottle again. Or maybe they're playing with fire, risking everything that's made this team finally respectable. Inside the locker room, the mood is mixed. Some players reportedly feel blindsided by the rumors, while others quietly admit they've sensed something brewing for months. Goff is known for keeping things professional, never airing grievances publicly, but teammates can tell when something shifts in the air. He's been more reserved lately during press sessions, less talkative about the future, and more focused on one game at a time. That's classic Goff: calm, composed, never reactive. But you can read between the lines. When a quarterback starts talking like that, it often means he's preparing for uncertainty. Detroit's coaching staff continues to deflect questions about his contract, repeating the same lines about focusing on the now. Yet, every NFL player knows the truth. The now doesn't last forever. The offseason will come, and so will the tough conversations. What makes this situation so fascinating is how it's testing the identity of the Lions organization. They built a culture around grit and unity. Now they might have to prove it's not tied to one man. From a football standpoint, it's hard to argue that Goff hasn't earned his spot. Statistically, he's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFC since joining Detroit. He's made smart decisions, limited turnovers, and executed the offense exactly how Dan Campbell envisioned. But the NFL is a league driven by perception, and perception can change fast. Younger, flashier quarterbacks are entering the scene every year, and front offices get tempted by the idea of cheaper, more athletic talent. The rumor that Detroit's scouting department has been closely evaluating college QBs hasn't helped calm things down either. It's not proof of anything, but where there's smoke, there's usually a little bit of fire. Maybe they're just doing due diligence. Or maybe they're preparing for life after Goff, whether fans are ready for it or not. The narrative could shift quickly, from Goff is our guy to we're exploring all options. That's how fast the NFL moves. And if Detroit truly believes they can plug in another quarterback and keep the engine running, then we might be witnessing the final chapters of Goff's Motor City story. The fan reaction to all this has been explosive. Social media has turned into a battlefield of opinions. Half the fans defending Goff like he's family, the other half saying it's time to look forward. Hashtags like Keep Goff and Trust the Plan are trending among Detroit supporters, and sports radio shows in Michigan are buzzing nonstop. Some callers can't believe the team would even think about moving on from him. Others argue that sentiment can't drive business decisions. It's emotional, it's messy, and it's exactly what happens when a franchise finally starts winning again. Expectations shift. For so long, Lions fans just wanted to be relevant. Now, they want to be champions. And that's where the tension lies. Because while Jared Goff has stabilized the team, some believe he's hit his ceiling. The front office might think they need someone who can break through that final barrier. Someone who can take them from good story to Super Bowl contender. But if they misjudge this moment, it could send Detroit spiraling back into the darkness they just escaped. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. Around the league, analysts are split. Some believe Goff is being underestimated once again, just like he was after the Rams moved on. They say Detroit should be careful not to repeat history, because the grass isn't always greener with a rookie or a new system. Others argue that Goff's limitations could eventually cap the Lions' potential, especially in an increasingly competitive NFC. What makes this debate so fascinating is that both sides might be right. Goff isn't flashy, but he's reliable. He won't always wow you with deep throws or highlight plays, but he gives you structure and consistency, qualities teams usually regret losing once they're gone. Still, this is the NFL, and comfort doesn't win championships. Front offices chase upside, innovation, and flexibility. The Lions might simply believe the time is right to evolve again. But if that's the case, Goff's next chapter could be even more intriguing. Imagine him landing with a team that fully tailors the offense to his strengths. Imagine him proving everyone wrong again. It would be the perfect sequel to his comeback story. At the end of the day, no one knows for sure how this saga will end. Maybe cooler heads will prevail, the Lions will work out an extension, and all these rumors will fade like preseason hype. Or maybe this is just the calm before a major shift, the kind of move that defines a franchise for years. Jared Goff's future in Detroit hangs in the balance, and every game from now until the end of the season feels like an audition. You can sense it in the way he plays, focused, determined, aware that every throw could influence the narrative. That's the beauty and the cruelty of the NFL. One season you're the savior, the next you're a storyline. Detroit has a choice to make. Stick with the quarterback who helped rebuild their identity or chase the idea of something new and shiny. Either way, when the dust settles, we'll look back at this season as the turning point. Because no matter where Jared Goff goes next, his impact on the Lions and on this city is already carved into the history of Detroit football. Industry insiders are hinting that Jerry Jones' assertive stance may continue to shape the organization's approach, signaling a zero-tolerance policy for underperformance, especially on offense. Sources report that the pressure on Schottenheimer is unprecedented in its intensity, with both ownership and key players closely evaluating every adjustment, call, and communication style, creating an environment where mistakes are magnified and successes are closely monitored. Analysts speculate that this scrutiny could have far-reaching consequences, potentially influencing hiring decisions, future coaching philosophy, and even player retention. Rumors suggest that alternative coaching candidates are being quietly assessed, though no public confirmation exists, fueling speculation about the potential for a mid-season shakeup should expectations not be met. Observers argue that Schottenheimer's ability to maintain focus, adapt strategies, and galvanize the offense under this pressure will determine not only his career trajectory, but also the future offensive identity of the Cowboys. Meanwhile, fans and media continue dissecting every public interaction, comment, and subtle cue, amplifying the tension and transforming the rumor mill into a near-constant conversation about the team's internal dynamics and potential seismic shifts. The coming weeks, insiders warn, could define not just a season, but the organizational narrative for years to come. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.